Hey guys, Andrew Strout. I'm here on the sideboard. I'm sitting with Chris Fennell. How's it going, Chris?
Hey, very well. And yourself?
I am doing fantastic. I'm sitting with Florida's finest.
Yes.
And
hometown GP, gotta love it.
You're here to talk to me about Temur.
Temur, yes.
So tell me a little about the Temur archetype.
Well,
Go ahead.
well, the Temur archetype, the best way I like to describe it is it's the best morph deck. It has giant creatures. Most of them have morph. You can play them on turn 3. You pick up a few tricks, and all green, red, and blue all have tricks. Okay. So it's really hard to block for your opponent because all your creatures are big, and when they unmorph, it puts them in really bad situations. So,
one thing I picked up on there, you mentioned that your creatures were big multiple times. So I want to talk about the ferocious mechanic, in particular.
Sure.
So like, how important is it for you to when you're drafting Temur to balance your big creatures versus ferocious effects? Balance, or like, is that something you're thinking about when you're drafting Temur?
No, I mean, ferocious is kind of cute because it's a mechanic that gives you a benefit for having the best creature, which is what you want to do in limited anyway. Is just have the best creature. Right. So there's a few cards that like can make some Temur decks. Like for example, Barrage of Boulders. Like that card, if you are specifically trying to get exactly 4 power creatures, playing one of those as a falter effect to get through can be good. The looting effect on the bounce spell can be good late in the game because after turn 6, you don't really want to be laying any additional lands. There's very little payoff for that. And then, so it makes some good cards a little bit better, but there's not really hardly any cards that are real bad without ferocious and real good with it.
Sure.
So like Savage Punch is like excellent anyway because you're going to be playing huge guys, and those would fight anyway. Most of the time, the 2 free damage is usually just icing on the cake.
Okay. So you're not say overvaluing something like Alpine Grizzly, just because it turns on ferocious.
I don't even play Alpine Grizzly. I mean, Alpine Grizzly trades with every card. And like I said, the weird thing about ferocious is most of the ferocious cards are not cards you want to be proactively casting.
Right.
On like you want to turn 3 a Grizzly and turn 4 a +2/+2. I would much rather be in a board state of morph, and then turn 5 unmorph, and then I have a huge guy, and then I cast one trick, get their guy attack with multiple huge guys. It's not like you want to be overloading with spells. You don't want that many spells in your deck to begin.
So the priority is just like have a bunch of animals and make sure you're filling the board with creatures.
Filling the board with large creatures, and then you get the maximum value out of your one ferocious spell that you need to cast to kill their one thing that's bothering you.
All right. Tell me a little bit about the common pick order here. What are the top 3 commons when you're drafting Temur?
All right. Well, you told me I wasn't allowed to use the lands separately, so the lands are gonna the three common lands that gain 1 life that are in color are obviously all very high picks.
Okay.
The snow. The 5/5 trample that I'm worth for 5 is very good, and Savage Punch is. This is the Savage Punch deck, which is the thing is when you're a base green deck, if you actually look at the common order and the pick order and how good the commons are, if you look at like the 7th best green common compared to like the 7th best blue common, like the green cards are really good. So like being able to play Savage Punch and exploit it because all your guys are great is really good, and that kills. And Savage Punch kills literally anything from any of the other get played.
Right.
You're going to be punching a 4/5. It's going to be a 6/7.
Okay. All right. Tell me a little about what you think the ideal Temur deck would look like.
Well, the dream is to have a Temur Ascendancy, because then you can just run out a 4-power monster every turn and draw a card and attack with it and play like old school Fires of Yavimaya.
Right.
But assuming you don't get lucky enough to have an Ascendancy, I would say you want to have a combination of really strong morph creatures, the blue 4/5, the tri-colored 5/5 trample, and the green 6/7 guys like that all morph up.
Right.
You don't want to be playing a Temur deck with guys that don't morph up. Like it's in other colors you can do that. Like Monastery Flock can be less powerful in Temur unless you really need the flying blocker. You really want to morph up to 4 power creatures because you want to pressure them and you want them to not be able to productively block your morphs ever.
All right. And of course lots of game lands, right?
And lots of game lands, yes.
Fair enough.
Sure.
All right. Where, in your opinion, does Temur rank with the other clans?
Well, Just one more real quick note. I like the. I also don't mind playing one or two of the 05 wall, even though it's not. You can't really activate it.
Monastery flock you're talking about?
I'm talking about just parapet. The two drop.
Okay, sure, yeah.
But if you're even better, if you can get the 06 blue morph that flips.
Right.
Because sometimes like the only decks that can really trouble you is a really good Mardu draw with all their colors.
Sure.
So they can play a lot of creatures and then have a trumpet blast or something to kill you. So dropping an early turn 2 wall can stop 10 damage to give you a chance to unmorph. So I do. Where does Temur rank? Is back to the question. I think Temur is excellent. I think that the best Temur decks actually have there's certain cards that can make specifically Temur better. You can splash like I was telling you earlier, Jeskai Charm, splashing that card.
Sure.
In Jeskai, it's really not that good. It's a 3-mana repel. I mean, that's a good card, but that's not in Temur, it's excellent because all your creatures are enormous. You can gain 15 or 18 life when you attack with some big guys, and then they can't ever race you. So there's some cards like that, but I think that the Temur is one of the stronger clans, and mostly because, like I said, it's the best morph deck. So if you only draw 2 of your 3 clan colors, you can still morph, and then by turn 6 or 7, you should have your 3rd color, and then here come the monsters. You
kind of get the edge by having the best mana base by virtue of having the most colorless creatures.
Right, and the least to do on the first 2 turns that matter.
Okay,
sure. The other decks have to cast their for a good Mardu deck, you want to cast a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and sometimes your 1-drop's white, your 2-drop's black, and your 3-drop's red.
Right.
So you just want to in this deck, you just want to play 2 gain life lands and then cast a morph on turn 3 is a lot easier to do than it is to cast 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop with 3 colors.
All right. So. Sweet. Well, thanks for sitting down with us.
All right.
Stick around. We've got plenty more coverage coming of Grand Prix Orlando.